George here in Mazatlan. I'm gonna go on one of my favorite outlook places here, and then we're gonna talk. Look, this video I'm reacting to some comment that kind of stirred the pot, inspired me to finally talk about this when I haven't in a long time. I posted a video where I was talking about the United States and Canada, the relationship between the countries in North America, which also includes Mexico. That's where I'm today. In the video, I expressed that for as long as Donald Trump is in office, I had no desire to travel to the United States, and so I won't. And I'm standing by that because, like I mentioned in the first video, the atmosphere toward foreigners isn't necessarily the most friendly. And that's not to say that that goes for everybody in every state, every town. No, it's not, but it's just overall in the United States the population is pretty divided. And it's been like that for a long time, but now the new sheriff in town is pretty radical, if you ask me. Now, I've been, there have been lots of comments. I've been called usual names again, like I'm a left-wing wing nut or whatever. I can't think of the exact names, but some of them might not be really suitable for my video. But one comment stood out to me when I expressed that I much rather travel to Mexico than to the United States. The guy says, "Hi, I'm just saying hello to the future missing tourist." The way I understand this is that this guy, who it turns out lives in El Paso, Texas, sorry. Yeah, he lives in El Paso, Texas, and he thinks because he's on the border, he knows how dangerous Mexico is. Yeah, his next comment was along those lines. His response to my comment, where all I said is that maybe you think Mexico is much more dangerous than it actually is. So then it's like, oh, well, I live in El Paso. Enough said. I tell you one thing. Living in El Paso or Laredo or what is it, Brownsville, and perhaps San Diego, what you find out about Mexico is the news that you hear from the border. Stuff that you see along the border, which is probably the worst part of Mexico that you could see. I remember for the first time in 2010, actually it was 2009, I was crossing the border into Mexico from Brownsville, Texas on my bicycle. And I was in Brownsville for a day, maybe 2 days, I can't remember, but it was the weather was bad in Brownsville, so I delayed my departure there across the border. And I had plenty of people advise me against traveling to Mexico because shootouts everywhere, and there were drug cartels, of course. There were all these bad things going on, and because I was on the bicycle by myself out on the highway, it would be how I say this, it would be crazy. It'd be crazy, so dangerous. You know what? It almost had me change my mind, because back then I didn't have anything else to go by. But then the night before I actually crossed the border, I thought to myself, look, am I gonna let fear get in the way of this adventure? Like, how bad can Mexico actually be when there's millions of ordinary people living there and they get by just fine? Like, I don't hear of Mexico being a war zone or anything like that. There are ordinary people living their peaceful life. So I crossed the border the next day, and almost right immediately I encountered some of what this guy was probably referring to. There was a guy wanting to show me around for a couple of dollars. Like he said, you follow my car. I declined. I'm not stupid. I wasn't back then. There was a guy when I was at the customs building or the immigration for my tourist visa. There's a guy outside. He wiped my bike. Well, he got a US dollar for it because I had one left. But, you know, it was that kind of thing that I encountered, and it wasn't the best impression, of course. But then I carried on anyways, and as soon as I got to the outskirts of Matamoros, you know, seemed more or less like a normal place. I stopped at a Burger King, had a good American-style hamburger. By the way, that was the last American-style meal that I had for quite a while, because the food in Mexico is actually a lot better than Burger King. And then I went on, you know, and the further I went, the more I realized that Mexico is fine. You can travel here. And even in 2009, 2010, when I spent most of the time here for the first time, there was no problem. But this morning, just in order to actually know the numbers, and I haven't really done my homework because there's probably a lot more to look up, but I looked up how many people actually get kidnapped in Mexico and how many people go missing, how many people get murdered. Let me just quote you one of them. Not sure when this was published, but the numbers have been declining, by the way. There's a graph there that you can look up yourself. I don't have to regurgitate that to convince you. I want you to find out for yourself, because my credibility, well, I'm just some dude on YouTube who could tell you a story. There's a certain number of people getting killed, or tourists getting killed in Mexico every year. But the number represents 2.1 for 100,000. Let that sink in. That's 2.1 per 100,000. That's very, very small number. And I know it's too much. Nobody should get killed as a tourist. But the number is double that for the US. And that's what kind of stunned me, even though I know that the US isn't the safest country. And you might argue with me on that. I'm sure some of you will. But want to make a bet? Those people that get murdered down here, in the majority of cases, they'll probably get shot with a US-made weapon. And those weapons are coming across the border here. Meanwhile, President Trump is complaining about the fentanyl. Can you argue about which one is more dangerous or which one is bad? Both are bad. You're going to say, well, guns don't kill people. It's the person that pulls the trigger. Yeah, but if the person that pulled the trigger didn't have a gun, then the chances of the other person surviving are a little better. Now with the fentanyl, you could also say fentanyl doesn't kill people. It's the person who takes it, or the person who puts it into somebody else's drugs or whatever, who kills people. I mean, we've seen the results of this fentanyl thing, and of course some of it is coming from Mexico, but I think you could make a pretty safe bet that a lot of it is actually manufactured in the United States and in Canada also. We have a problem in Canada with this. That's where I'm from. I mean, not originally, but I lived there for the past 38 or 39 years now. I see what's going on and I hate it. I mean, I hate that there are people dying of this stuff. I see them staggering around town in Edmonton, Alberta. It's too close to home, believe me. I think that the US, Mexico, and Canada together should adopt a strategy which apparently they agreed on now, which was perhaps due to pressure by President Trump. So maybe there's a silver lining in all this. But did it have to come at the cost of alienating Canadians and Mexicans and now China and the European Union? You could leave me a comment. I don't think so. I think there are more things to be lost by this kind of policy than there's to be gained. But yeah, as far as travel goes, trust me, Mexico is a fantastic country and it is one of the safest places. You know, actually, where kidnappings are the highest in the world, and I think you'll be surprised because I didn't expect it. It's in Belgium, which is right in the European Union. So I've been to Belgium, mind you, years and years and years ago, but I'd go there in a heartbeat. Why not go to Mexico? Now, why not go to the United States? Well, it's kind of a little bit different right now. I'm a little bit stubborn about supporting a country that has so many things going in what I've perceived to be the wrong direction right now. I mean, just look at President Trump's actions over just the last two, ever since he got into office, and what it actually accomplishes for the American people versus what it looks like. It's a lot of shocks and a lot of disruption, a lot of stuff that is unconstitutional and illegal, and it's a circus is what it is. To summarize it, it's just a circus. And I think Trump knows that, but there are so many of his supporters that don't realize it, and so he gets away with it for a while. I don't know if he doesn't understand that this ultimately doesn't have any huge benefits for anyone, except, of course, himself and his richest of the rich friends, who, by the way, supported his campaign. So, look, you got a problem there. You got a problem in the United States. Well, as far as Mexico goes, well, they got problems too, and so does Canada, and so does every other country in the world. But the United States, the richest and most powerful country in the world up to this point, you know, it's got effects beyond your borders, big ones. And you should really make sure that there's somebody in the White House who's got the brains to run the place, who's competent. Just saying. Well, enough about politics. I'm still enjoying Mexico for another little while here. And yeah, it's good here. I can actually afford good food here. Went to the dentist a few times in the past few days and had all my dental care caught up on. And again, I can't afford that in Canada. Being self-employed has this drawback that you don't get to take advantage of a group insurance. So I'm on my own there. And it's thanks to Mexico that I have teeth. I'm not here to offend anyone. You can give me a thumbs up if you agree with some of the stuff I said, and you can give me a thumbs down if you don't. Or you could just correct me, set me straight in the comment section. I always enjoy that, and maybe I'm going to even respond to your comment with another video. There were some nasty ones on there too, you know, like somebody pray for this, yeah, can't say the word, but you know, to be like totally immoral, do everything wrong, and then hide behind religion, I got problems with that too. So maybe that'd be something to talk about as well. I'm sort of on a vacation from thinking too hard about what to do for my videos. And before that, basically, I was too busy with fixing my pickup truck for my business because I can't afford to be a full-time YouTuber yet. It just doesn't bring in enough money. But the numbers have been rising slowly and steadily. And one day, maybe that's just going to happen. You know, maybe you guys are going to support me by biffing off because whatever I said wasn't accurate or was wrong or I'm misguided or just brainwashed. Or some of you actually get inspired to do something about the things that I'm talking about, because it's together that we can make a change. And I'm trying to do my part. Try to do yours too. There's some things that we all agree on, and maybe you can find a way to support me and my little channel. Thank you.